This is Metropolis? Ugh, it's more barren than I am.
Oh my god, we're too late. Actually bottled the city.
Welcome back to another Harley Quinn breakdown with Season 5, Episode 8, titled Family Feud, because this episode really is a family feud with a bunch of family drama in it. Now, I thought this was a fun episode. We had some good moments during it, and it's just pretty much ramping up what's to happen in the final two episodes of this season with the bottled city and, you know, all the fun stuff that would normally go with Brainiac, which is now Lena. So in this week's episode, we're going to be breaking down the plot, any Easter eggs we noticed during it, as well as that ending. So the episode picks up with what pretty much happened after last week. Ivy's mad at Harley for working with Lena to save her, which is kind of ironic because there's no way Harley could have really done anything to save Ivy. So in that moment, Ivy's just so pissed off. She worked with Lena. She can't really see clearly. And even though Harley did 100% the right thing because Ivy and Frankette would have died there, because Lena ended up taking Frankette, the only part of Frank Ivy has left. So this is just setting up the conflict for the episode, which does get revolved by the end. But it is kind of nice to see how, like, both of them are so headstrong and, like, they care about each other. But because they're also so stubborn, it's hard for them to think clearly sometimes and they rush out to do stuff. Just kind of how, like, we notice in a lot of superhero stuff, when two sides are fighting, they're not thinking as clearly as they should have, and they're just kind of stuck on each of their sides. Now, in this moment, after Ivy leaves, Harley ends up getting a call from her dad, which the phone says Scam Likely on it. And I didn't realize Scam Likely might have came from this show. I can't remember from the previous seasons, but the only reason I know that name and I can remember it clearly is because I noticed it while listening to the Dungeons and Daddies podcast, where our main character in that is called Scam Likely. And that was like the first thing I thought of, which I thought was pretty funny, even though I don't think it's a reference to that at all, and it was most likely in the previous season. That's the first thing I thought of. And then when we have Harley going to see her father, who's not the best father, who does not win Father of the Year, he talks about how his mom got killed by 30 shopping carts running into her. Which this reminded me of The Good Place, where Eleanor's death in The Good Place was her getting hit by a bunch of shopping carts. And I do find it funny, it was just her dad's way of getting her there. Like, her dad is like his name, Scam Likely. He was able to scam Harley into getting there because her mom is completely fine, and it was all for her dad to bring Harley to a warehouse to capture her and harvest her organs because Lena asked him to kill her. What a great father. And I do find it funny that they had a guy come in who's a Diamond Boy helper in order to help him harvest the organs. And of course it all goes to shit. She's able to get out of it. Mobsters show up who have that kind of classic stereotypical way of talking as mob goons, which I thought was kind of funny. And then we get like this cool good moment of, you know, Harley just beating the crap out of him, calling out her dad, but then it ends tragically with her dad dying and being shot. And it's just kind of funny how they kind of dealt with this, because when it gets to the very end of that fight, when they go to the cemetery to bury her father, they still think her father was a piece of shit. Like, it's just kind of funny to see how, like, they hate each other. It's such a terrible family dynamic. But because they hate each other, it's like kind of that love for the fact that her father was a terrible person, but it was their terrible person. So I think it's kind of funny just to see how they put that in there. And also have Harley's mom join the fight as she wants to take the fight to Lena after killing her husband. So just funny to see what's going on. You know, add another character in there. Now you got the married couple with the in-law showing up, and it's just funny to add this dynamic and kind of like this parody of people not wanting to live with their in-laws because sometimes they can be controlling, annoying, and they kind of played it off with this episode. But we'll get to the rest with Harley's mom a little bit later in the video, because first we need to talk about Ivy going after Lena. But first she goes to Bruce to try to get into her apartment and find out all the details, where we just have another meme of a Bruce laying on his couch covered in random crap, dirty as hell, because he is depressed that Lena left him. Every relationship he's had in the show has failed one after another. Talia, Catwoman, Lena, and it just never worked. And I do kind of find it funny that he said he has a type, which is that he likes brunettes, which is kind of true when you look at each person he's dated. But it's also funny just to see what he does. Each one of those contacts also has a broken heart, and he's changing Lena's to a broken heart while he's going through his contacts. And then also, we see other names in his contacts. We've got Alfred, Dick Grayson, Jim Gordon, Clark Kent, and even Lex Luthor for some reason. I'm surprised they didn't throw in a couple other references here with like other Bat family members, maybe Cassandra, maybe Steph, you know, maybe Tim Drake. Like, I'm surprised they only kept Dick and Alfred in there and Jim Gordon. You know, if this show goes on for any more seasons, maybe we'll see some of those other Bat family to make fun of. And I do kind of find it funny that the whole reason he found out that Lena was cheating on him was from the musical, which it does still beg the question if Lena was truly cheating on him with Brainiac, but they kind of confirmed it when Harley called Lena out on it and she didn't deny it. So it is interesting, and it's kind of funny just to see how they play it when it comes to like the comedy aspect of stuff. But then it leads to Ivy going to Lena's place, and I do find it hilarious that her security system is this old woman robot that is so talkative and is distracting you, because then you're never going to get to where you need to go. you're trying to be nice to the old woman who's kind of seeming like the receptionist of Lena's home. It's just kind of funny how they put that in there as this best security system where people aren't going to be able to break in because of Gale. And of course, you know, Gale ends up turning into a giant freaking robot, and I'm like thinking, Bruce, what is this security system that you got Lena? It's just like this giant mech that comes and starts shooting everything and destroying the place. It doesn't seem like the best security system, but I guess if you're rich, it doesn't really cost much to replace all your stuff in your apartment. And I do find it hilarious that the deactivation code is Bruce and Lena to forever, with F being replaced with a 4. It just feels like very high school level kind of romantic stuff where you have this old billionaire superhero who is doing this, and it just makes no sense. And that's why Bruce Wayne in the show is such a meme. But regardless, we get to the point where Ivy finds out that Lena has destroyed the teleporter. Lena sends the robots after Ivy to take her out, and then all chaos ensues as she tries to escape Lena's apartment without being blown up, even sacrificing Gale to do it. R.I.P. Gale. What a great security system. Gets thrown into the robots and just blows the hell up. But in this room, as Ivy's taking Lena's journal, we get to see her vision board, which her vision board has the way she wants to transform Metropolis. We see she wants to change her brother's company into her own and also change Metropolis into Lena-lopolis, where you can see that she's just as crazy as her brother when it comes to wanting to rule the world and be known as a Luthor around the world. But in this moment, she seems to be more like the person who she wants to outshadow her brother. She wants to take the spotlight because he always had the spotlight. And of course, that leads into the later plot in the episode where they actually go to get Lex Luthor because of that. So I do find it interesting how they kind of set this up. Especially because Lex was the main villain of last season, and now he's coming back to possibly be somewhat of a tool to end up winning against the new main villain, another Luthor. But Lena ends up going around and changing Metropolis into her own image, where she does change her brother's company from Luthor Corp to Lena Corp. And then she changes other building colors and goes around and just changes it so she can bottle it up. Just kind of this power-hungry grab so she can bottle up the city and rule over Metropolis. Well, she'll call Lena-lopolis as she goes forward for these last couple episodes. One thing I want to point out too is during this episode, Brainiac also gives Lena a thumbs up, which on his world is an insult. It's not something good. Which is kind of funny just to see how they kind of play on that, where it's like Brainiac is trying to insult her, but a thumbs up is like, you're doing a good job. But in his reality, in his world, it's not. It's more probably giving someone like the middle finger, which I thought was funny. However, as we move forward to the Harley and Ivy stuff, they finally reconnect. We have a nice moment of them forgiving each other, telling them that they'll always love each other, and then having that in-law come in and just obviously start grabbing alcohol and just hanging out as they try to figure out what to do. And that's when they figure out that Lex is the way to take down Lena because she's so obsessed with killing him that it's her weakness, where she wants his approval and wants to show up her brother no matter what. Which I do kind of find it hilarious that when they're flipping through the book, each page is just a different way to kill him. One of them is a mini horse that had a 70% way of winning. Why is that an idea? But I digress. It was funny just to see how Lena is so obsessed with her brother that that's going to be her downfall. Then when they go to Blackgate to break him out of prison, it's just this funny scene of them just all chaos breaking loose in the prison, people escaping. But the thing about the scene is they focus on Harley's mom. They don't show us anything about the prison of them going in because the whole point is the comedic aspect of Harley's mom chilling in the car because she can't figure out how to sit up in the seat. And it's just like this funny moment, and it's just kind of like classic, like kind of older person trying to figure out something, calling their kid, trying to figure out how to do something, and their kid kind of getting annoyed with them. So I kind of like that. I like the way they throw in these little tidbits of like real life situations, just kind of add a little bit more to the fun that's going on. And then it just ends up with her mom killing 2 of the prison guards, ramming into them, and capturing Lex herself. You know, kind of shows where Harley came from. Her mom is kind of chaotic as well, so it's funny just to add into that. And then you see her in the backseat with Lex, and she's just kissed all over his face because she likes the man. Which I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next episode with her mom and Lex, and just to see if they're going to put them together just for the meme. But then when they get back to Metropolis, it's now gone, it's been bottled up, and that's when we're going to go to the next episode that's called the Bottle Episode, which is most likely leading into the fact that it's going to be focused on one area in Metropolis, just like a whole Bottle episode in a TV series focuses on one room throughout the entire episode. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do. We're ending with the last 2 episodes. The series has been fun. Like, I feel like it's probably not going to get more seasons, like, just based on how the DCU is going, how the last few seasons have been received. Like, there are still fun moments, but it's not amazing by any means. Like, I do like it at times. It's fun. There are good episodes, but it's not like this perfect show. However, I do like how they make fun of every DC character, and it can be such a meme sometimes. And I will say, the season also started off with like a lot of DC Easter eggs and references as they went into it, but slowly each episode started to get less and less and less and less. And now that we're in the final few, it kind of makes me wonder why they started to do that. Isn't, you know, we don't need to focus on it, but it is nice to have those DC references as we're progressing through a DC series, especially something like this, where we have so many different characters, so many different stuff they're making fun of, that I'm just surprised they didn't have more as the season went on. I digress. Let me know, what did you think of this episode, and was there any other Easter eggs and references you noticed during it? We'll talk about it in the comments down below. But thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like, hit the subscribe button, it helps out the channel a lot, and you get to stay up to date with all my Harley Quinn breakdowns. If you're watching Daredevil Born Again, I've just put out my episode 1 and 2 breakdown, so make sure you go check that out after this video. It'll be linked, so thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you next week when it's time to watch another episode of Harley Quinn.